say what you were gonna say. What you said before.
What do you guys think of the book?
I liked it. I think, like, in business, I really like it, but I think it applies to a lot of aspects of life in general, like persistence in, like, your marriage, in your family, friendships, all that stuff. But yeah, I definitely in business, because I think it's very easy to, like, have these grand ideas and then, like, at the first setback, just be, well, oh, I can't swear. Forget it. I'm just gonna do something else that obviously wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
I think that, like, this was maybe the simplest chapter to understand.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You can't win if you quit. And then he demonstrates a few successes, but you know, you've never done well at anything that you've quit, obviously, right? It's kind of struck me though, like a couple of things that like can kill your persistence. And I was having a conversation with my daughter, and I don't know if like you read and then situations show up and you're like, aha, that's what he's talking about. But I asked my daughter in the car yesterday, we drive to school, and I said, what do you think about softball? She's doing softball and soccer. And she said, I love softball. I love softball. I said, okay, great. What do you want to do with it? What's your game plan? Where do you want to go? She said, well, I definitely want to play college softball. I said, okay. But previously she said, I want to be a Division I softball player. I don't know if she'll be there or not, but you know, she's trying to create this vision. I said, well, what level of softball do you want to play at? She said, well, maybe like Division II. I said, why Division II? What about that? She said, well, my friends told me that Division I's really hard. And my friends are telling me that Division II is really hard and I might not be able to make it. And I thought, the mastermind. And I said, you know what? If you're going to share your intimate dreams, like I want to be a Division I softball player, you have to share them with other kids who know what that looks like, or other adults that know what that looks like. And then he also talks about having a definite plan. And I thought, man, you know what? In today's world, you can literally map out the skills that you have to be a Division I softball, baseball, basketball player. You have to be this tall, you have to run this fast, you have to jump this high, and you can have a definite plan on what you need to look like to get there. And I talked to her about having a plan. I said, what's your plan of attack? What are you going to do? And she said, well, I think if I work out quite a bit, then it should work out. And I was like, I think you might have to be a little more clear on that. I think like I've seen some Division I players, and I think, and just so you know, like Division I players, they hit probably every day. They might take a day off, but never 2 days off. And they start working on their bodies at this level. They start jumping rope. They start getting faster. So it was really interesting to see how those worlds can all come together and how they do come together. But man, talk about with your kids, like, so you want to protect that. It's like, oh my gosh, don't steal her dream, you know? How crazy is that?
How old is your daughter?
She's in 7th grade.
Okay.
Well, good, you're getting her at the right time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, it's hard. When my daughter was playing soccer, I think she felt like we wanted her to go D1. And I'm like, I think you should do what you want to do. Don't worry about us. Like, this is your life. It's not our life. And there's a lot of commitment that goes into being a D1 player. And yeah, she said, Mom, I want college. Like, I don't want my entire life to revolve around soccer. And so she did. She went to a D3 school and loved it and decided in her senior year, I'm done. She just quit. She quit the soccer team this year, her senior year. And she said, I couldn't be more happy that I did that. So it's not plan related, but it's interesting to let them kind of find their way, but help to direct them. And, you know, I asked her, what are your goals? What are your aspirations with soccer? She said, I just want to play in college. And I said, no, nothing after? She said, no. And I said, well, take that in consideration then if you're going to think about D1. Because D1 athletes normally have a goal to go beyond the collegiate field. But yeah, she'll learn a lot through that process of what that really looks like. It'll help her devise her plan.
I'm so glad that you shared that too, because it's funny, like, I'm very driven, and in this group, maybe I don't come off as quite as intense as I can come off at home, and it's like, yesterday I was like, no, it's your plan, it's not mine.
Right.
And she had a little aha, she was like, well, I just thought you really wanted me to play. I'm like, nope. Man, I better get better at that if you're picking that up for me, right? But it's got to be their plan. And all we can do is guide them a little bit, right?
Right, and just be there to support them. Actually, the irony about what you just said, especially the parental influence, was when her father told her when she was really struggling with quitting. I mean, she went through the whole summer. When you came on with us, I was talking about her anxiety, and she was really struggling, and she was struggling about making this decision. And finally, her father said, soccer is not worth what you're going through. If you don't want to play, don't play. And when she was telling me this, she was sobbing. It was that release that, wait, it's okay. Like, you guys aren't going to be disappointed. You're not going to be mad and all that. And I'm like, no. I mean, granted, she's been playing since she was 4 years old. She's 21. She's allowed to say I'm done. Right? Yeah, she retired. But it was having that release, and I think that's important for all of us to remember that our kids need our permission to walk away, even though we may have thought our plan may be different, but it's their plan, it's their lives. And I think athletes really get the short end of that stick. I think they're driven more by their parents than by what they actually want to do. And I think that's why there's a lot of struggles for athletes.
Well, there's a lot that goes with that too, and I actually have connected with a lot of my friends that are now like college coaches, and they talk about their athletes struggling with transition. And it's not just athletes. We have a new teammate. She's 24 years old, and she was telling me about really a massive anxiety attack, like go to the hospital anxiety attack she had last year, and she was weighing going home from college or staying in college and sticking it out. And a lot of times it's this loss of identity, you know, right? For your daughter, if you played from when you're 4, that's what, 16 years of knowing exactly what you want to do.
Right.
And then this openness of, and now what? And we don't work through transition very well in our culture. And I think athletes have the greatest sense of purpose, so probably the greatest sense of loss when they change and they become something different, because the sport's their identity, not all this other stuff. And I think it goes back to like why this book matters to me too, though, because I really struggled with that loss. Like, I was depressed for 2 or 3 years after I got done playing baseball. It's like, nobody can make me do anything. So I filled the void with just garbage, just laying around being silly, you know?
Right.
And when I found this book, it helped develop a lot more purpose and focus. And I think with the purpose and the focus, back to the persistence, it's a lot easier to persist when you've chosen that this is what I'm going to do, you know? And so when athletes go through that transition, a lot of times they don't really know what's next, and I think that holds it back a little bit.
It does. I definitely see it. There's a real struggle. Yeah. But I like the persistence part. To me, this morning when I was really reviewing it, I thought to myself, I want to go back through the book where I'm not in a time constraint and really start noting it, because it was persistence for me that really clicked. I got out of a lot of good habits that I'm trying to get back into, but I'm like, okay, I need to set a definite plan and what my goal is and see myself there. The whole book always resonates with me. It's my second read through it, but there was something about today where I thought, nope, I'm not going to be, that whole list of, when you know, like, you're a procrastinator or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, I'm starting to fall back into this procrastination trap. And I'm like, no. This is not how Shelley rolls. You know, I have goals. I've got aspirations. And then the money part, if you're just going to have that negative mindset around money and always believe that you're going to be broke, well, you're going to be broke. And I always walk around saying, I'm going to be rich, but I'm not doing anything in my personal life to actually get me there. So it put me in check today, where I was like, okay, Shelley's got to get back on it. I mean, I work for somebody who will help me get there without any question, but I have to be the one who says, all right, I'm ready to do this. Anyway, I think that's most I've talked about this book.
Shelley, there's a line that he uses. He says that riches do not respond to wishes, they respond only to definite plans, backed by definite desires through constant purpose. Right? And then he does mention, I was talking about this with our team yesterday. Can I get extra credit? I read ahead.
Yes.
This is a hard one to read ahead with, but I mentioned it to our team yesterday. He says, I think like 90%, 98% of all people will not have a, definite desire. I closed my book, but it's something along those lines. Basically, most of us don't have a vision,
Right.
And man, number one, how impactful is that you're sitting down, you're reading through a book that guides you through a vision, and then I'm sure Mark would love nothing more because I get fired up. We did a video yesterday about a business planning mastermind. Well, that's creating a vision for your next year, your next 5 years. And my teammate who was shooting the video, Jasmine, she goes, I love that video. That's your best one ever. And I was like, what was so good about it? She was passionate. Like, oh my gosh, nothing gets me more fired up than wanting to work on a vision because like we just said, like I went through years without a vision.
Right.
And I suffered, and I don't want people around me to suffer. So if you guys want to unpack that stuff with Mark, I bet he would love it, and you would get so much out of it. And sometimes we just build these constructs in our head, like, oh, I can't do that, or I'm not going to have money. I didn't grow up with much money. I think my dad made $50,000. My mom made $30,000, and we weren't broke, but we didn't have a lot of extra stuff, and we kind of looked at money negatively. And every single one of you, if you're feeling that way, because sometimes when you work for somebody else, you feel that way. Like you have the power, the ability to break free. Unfortunately, not a lot of people come along and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, guess what? So you kind of have to decide that you want to change, and if there's a way to change through Mark's business, I'm sure that he would love to sit down and create that vision with you because it's awesome to work on that together. That's your mastermind, right?
It is your
The
mastermind.
beautiful thing is, we all just
Hey, buddy.
wrote our 5-year visions, right? And I was pretty impressed with everybody's visions, and it's nice. I love that exercise when the Cord gives it to us, especially for us to do it with our staff, because now I know where you guys want to be, and because I know where you want to be, I can start creating the vision for our team to provide for you what you need to accomplish your vision. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I get really excited about that, and I see in your visions, you're all stretching a little bit, reaching for this or that, and that's awesome. But like Nick talks about, being super passionate and motivated about having a vision, like nothing brings me more joy than being able to help you guys accomplish what you want to accomplish, right? So it's funny, I find myself bragging about the accomplishments that I've helped you guys gain, because ultimately I have more pride in that than my own accomplishments. So I was just telling somebody the other day, yesterday, actually, I was talking about budgeting because I offered to a tenant that I put into my rental at Pioneer that just lost their house in foreclosure and had nowhere to go. That's a friend of Kayla Barrett's. So I told her, I said, like, here's the deal. Your rent is $1,700 a month, and if you turn in a budget to me every month, I'll knock $200 off the rent, right? Well, the reason why I bring this up is I was using as an example when I called Kayla to tell her what I was doing for her friend, and I said, look, one of the greatest examples of the power of personal budgeting is, Michelle and her desire to purchase a rental property. The beautiful thing was she continued to be disciplined and save, and as she saved, now as her coach and mentor, I said, you got the money, it's time to buy something, right? I forced her to get off and was forced to go do it. And, I have a lot of pride in that, knowing that I was able to help her accomplish one of her dreams. You know what I mean? So I know I got a little off topic of the book, but we were talking about vision when I jumped in. And I know I came in late. You guys catch me up real quick, because I'll be honest, I did not read this week. I'm a day behind on everything.
We'll give you
because of
grace.
What happened to my flight?
That's okay.
So
It was about persistence.
We were talking about how persistence, you can't achieve anything unless you persist and see it through. Like you have to, but there are certain things that you probably need in order to persist, like a definite vision, a mastermind to support you, and that's kind of how we were tying back into the vision, because you have to have those things in order to stick it out.
So I've had this vision for a long time. Our team, we're going to get to the point that we're producing $80 to $100 million in production. And then once I net $1 million to me personally, every dollar over that 25% is going to go back to my team members. And I see that as a way that I'm going to help you guys accomplish your visions and earn more and save more and do all that when we accomplish that vision. Now, look, how long has that been my vision, guys?
By 2 years.
Since I started.
Yeah, a couple of years.
As long as I've known you.
Yeah. So that's been the vision for a few years now, and obviously we haven't accomplished it yet, but I'm going to continue to drive forward and make changes and do what's necessary and fail forward, like the book says, right? Until we accomplish that vision. It is not, there will never be an instance of giving up on that. Like, it will be the focus until we achieve it, whenever that may be, right? And I think that is persistence. So
100%.
cool. Well, sorry I jumped on late. Just wrapped up the settlement this morning, and unfortunately, sometimes appointments knock us off course, and the meeting must still happen, right? So I appreciate you tuning in too, Nick, because I wasn't here last week. I think I may have been here the week before. I don't know, but Thursday's been a little crazy for me.
I was telling the group, and before I jump off, but it's awesome. It holds me accountable to being prepared and reading this book. So whether you're here or not here, no offense to you, I love when I get a chance to join you, but whether you're here or not here, this accountability has helped me grow, and that's what it's all about, right?
Awesome. So have you implemented book club with your team yet?
We already had a book club going, and we've been reading Pound the Stone. Remember Pound the Stone?
Sweet. I love that book.
Yep. So we're moving through it a little bit slowly. We need to pick up the pace, and it is definite to me that Think and Grow Rich has got to be next.
For the team? Yeah, I think it's just
we
super
need to get it
powerful.
together.
And Pound the Stone is awesome too. I mean, love that, especially combining that with the topic of persistence today, because that's the whole theme of that book. Is that you just keep chipping away, and over time, that stone's going to crack in half. It's going to break, but it takes 1,000 blows to the stone, not one.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Exactly right.
cool.
Well, see you guys. See you at noon, Mark. Well, noon my time, 3:00 your time.
Yep, something like that. I don't know. Wherever the schedule tells me to go, that's where I go.
All right. Thanks for
3 p.m.
joining, you guys.
All right, bye, Nick.
Bye.
Steve.